Hello everyone. Today we are going to be starting into Unit 2, Lesson 1 of Unit 2 in the first exploration that we have here. We're going to be looking at the levels of organization in organisms. I like the picture here of these thorn bugs fighting with each other, I guess is what they're doing there. But it says there the hard shell on the thorn bug helps it blend in with the plant it lives on and also provides protective armor. And then by the end of the lesson, you'll be able to relate the structure to function at each level in the organism. So that's kind of the main thing that we're looking at here is just the levels of organization in all living things and all of these organisms that we can see here. And kind of this first, the first question that we have here, this can you explain it, is looking at a comparison between a cow and an earthworm and looking at their digestive system. So the question there asks, the cow's digestive system and the worm's digestive system both break down food, but they do not look the same. Compare and contrast the two systems, and what explanation can you suggest to explain the similarities and differences between those two digestive systems? Well, if you take a look at those, you can see that there's some similarities. They both have a mouth, they both have an esophagus, they both have an intestine, but you know, they're put together kind of differently. There are some different structures there. The earthworm, it has a crop and it has a gizzard. There's the crop, there's the gizzard, and then the cow has 4 separate chambers to its stomach. Why is that going on? Well, cattle are going to be eating really tough to digest grass and hay and those types of things, and they'll swallow it down into one stomach, cough it back up, chew their cud for a while, swallow it down to another stomach. Eventually, they digest things to the point they can actually use them for energy. The earthworm, the stuff it's eating is already part decayed and broken down, so it doesn't need as complex of a digestive system, but it does have some different parts here, like that, like the crop and the gizzard, because it doesn't have certain things like, we'll talk about a little bit later, it doesn't have teeth like what the cow does, so it needs some different parts for that. All right, moving in officially into exploration 1 right here. One of the first things that it talks about here is the difference between unicellular organisms and multicellular organisms. Okay, unicellular organisms, just a single cell, and all the functions needed for life are performed by that one cell. So bacteria, protists, those types of things. Here's an example of an E. coli bacteria down here. Just one cell to do all those functions that are necessary for life. If we're looking at a multicellular organism like our oak tree or our little shrew or a human, okay, it says they're made up of more than one cells, but that they're specialized, okay? Specialized cells to do specific jobs. And then those specific jobs, multicellular organisms are just kind of more efficient, able to do bigger jobs. I don't know, there's advantages to being unicellular, but as far as efficiency and the things they're able to do, multicellular wins hands down on those. Alright, so our little discussion here. Multicellular organisms can be made up of billions of cells. How do you think having specialized cells is an advantage? Kind of what I just said there, right? Different cell types perform different functions, and this allows for an organism to be much more efficient. Oh, and as I'm going through this, if you ever do need to pause the video in order to write stuff in on the questions, feel absolutely free to do that. You don't need to try to keep up with me as I uncover things as I'm clicking through this. All right, so we start off with levels of organization. Cells is our first level. Then the next heading here, you put a whole bunch of cells together and you get tissues. You can see the definition. A tissue is a group of similar cells that are organized to perform a specific function. So cells, put a bunch of cells together, you get tissues. Let's see, vascular tissue it mentions here. It kind of gives a plant example there. You can think about like muscle tissue, you can think about nervous tissue if you're thinking about animals. Just a bunch of cells working together to do a bigger job. And if we keep going, we get to organs, okay? So we put cells together to get tissues. You put tissues together and you get organs. So it says different types of tissues that function together form an organ. So cells, tissues, then organs. A little comparison here they have between some organs in a plant versus blood vessels, which technically are an organ that you would see in an animal. I think it's kind of interesting there that from plant to animal, just looking at those structures, they look very similar. Put together a little bit differently, but still that round shape to them and things. It's just weird how living things tend to have all of those similarities. The questionnaire used the oak tree stem as evidence to support the claim that specialized tissues work together to form organs that perform necessary functions. Well, that stem, it's an organ, and the main job of that stem is to transport materials. So there are tissues, this vascular tissue, there are tissues to transport materials. There are also tissues, the ground tissue and the epidermal tissue, there's also tissues to support and protect those transport tissues. So we have different tissues working together to perform a bigger job. Okay, so cells go together to make tissues, and tissues go together to make organs. Next, if we take a bunch of organs and put those together, we get an organ system. So an organ system is a group of organisms that work together to perform body functions. Leaves, stems, flowers, that's in a plant. Those are the shoots. For organ systems in animals, it talks about a bunch of them towards the end of this lesson, but circulatory system, muscular system, skeletal system, endocrine system, all kinds of different systems that we have in our bodies as animals. The question there says draw a diagram that shows relationships between cells, tissues, organs, and organ systems. I'm not going to draw out a fancy little diagram for you. I'm not a great artist, but I'm trusting that you guys are better artists than I am and can do something better than my little flowchart that I've done right here. But just a reminder, that's what you should have is something simple with a little single cell. Put a bunch of cells together to get tissues. Put a bunch of tissues together to get organs. Put a bunch of different organs together to get organ systems. And finally, if we're looking at big complex things like us, you put a bunch of organ systems together to get the full organism. Gives a little picture here that shows our frilled lizard, and taking a look at the muscle cells, put the muscle cell together to get tissues. That's a whole bunch of cells working together there, and then those tissues together to get the heart, which is an organ. So it asks, is the frilled lizard unicellular or multicellular? And try to use some evidence to explain the answer. Well, if you look at the picture, it shows, my answer there, the frilled lizard is multicellular because it is made up of more than one cell. We saw our first cell right here, put a bunch of those cells together here, and then we get an organ. And that's just one little part of this whole lizard. The whole thing is going to be made up of cells. And then again, use frilled lizard as evidence to support the claim that organs work together to form organ systems that perform necessary functions. Well, if you think about it, we see a picture of the heart right here. The heart is an the heart is an organ that pumps blood. Blood travels through blood vessels, and the heart and blood vessels are organs that make up the circulatory system, and this is what delivers blood to your tissues throughout the lizard's body. Okay, so we definitely have organs working together to form organ systems and to do bigger jobs. Let's see, we're going to kind of skip this this lab, but it does have some nice pictures there of cells that you can kind of glance at, but we are not going to do that lab there within the book. Moving on down to number 7, it says the gizzard in the earthworm contains small stones that help grind up bits of food. Why might the earthworm have a gizzard but the cow does not? And give some ideas about this. Well, basically the big situation, I mentioned that at the beginning, is that cows have teeth. They can chew up their food, swallow it. They actually, process it a little bit, bring it back up into their mouth. You see cow chewing their cud, then they can swallow it down again. Well, earthworms don't have teeth, so they have to have some way to kind of chew up their food a little bit, and that's what the gizzard does. They have little teeny tiny rocks in there, and then as that food moves through, it kind of flexes and moves around in there, and that gives them a little bit of a chewing action, a grinding action to break that food down. Let's see, we skipped over the math problem right there. If you're really interested in that, come and talk to me and I can help work you through that if you want to see. Let's see, next part is taking a look at blood. So it says blood is made up of blood cells suspended in a liquid matrix called plasma. There's red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets, and blood provides all the cells in the body with oxygen, helps regulate body temperature, and helps the body fight infection. So you're supposed to, you kind of do this by yourself, just think about it, figure out if you think that blood is a tissue, a fluid, or both. So, blood, oops, click on that, blood, since it's made up of similar cell types that work together, we would consider blood to be a tissue. Since it is in a liquid matrix, we would also consider it to be a fluid, so it is definitely both a tissue and a fluid at the same time. Okay, that brings us to the end of exploration 1. Again, the biggest thing to get out of exploration 1 right here is just that organization of living things, where we start with cells, simplest building block of a living thing. Put a bunch of cells together, you get tissues. Okay, put a bunch of tissues together, you get organs, and then you put a bunch of organs together and you get organ systems. And then again, if we have a large complex organisms, you put those organ systems together to make that organism. All right, cells, tissues, organs, organ system, and then organisms. Make sure that you know those, and make sure you know those in order from the simplest with cells all the way up to the complex organism. All right, that'll take care of exploration 1. If you have questions, let us know.